Welcome back, Mando.
Greetings, Bucketheads. Mevar Tagar. Welcome to our 365th pridefully vengeful episode of MandoVision, and I am your host, Nargai Tom. Thank you so much for checking out the small independent Star Wars podcast. So glad that you're here. Reach out to us on the socials. We're at Mando_Vision on X and Insta, MandoVision at Blue Sky, and of course you can email me at MandoVisionTom@gmail.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share this show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. All right, Bucketheads, we're going 4 for 4 this week with episode/chapter 4 of Maul, Shadow Lord. So yes, we are caught up, we are current, and that means the plan is next week. Hopefully, Monday morning we'll have one review for you, and then we'll get the next one out to you the very next day. We're going to go twofers for the rest of the series, assuming everything goes according to plan. Subject to change, asterisks, and all that good stuff. But we have a really great episode of Maul this week. I think Chapter 4 may be one of the strongest ones yet, considering like how strong the opening chapter was. This one, I think, is really setting the stage. And as we like to talk about on the show, how a lot of these seasons are divvied up into like the classic 3-act structure. I think this episode is a closing of our first opening act, and it sends it out on a really high note for what is to come, and kind of paying off a lot of what has already been established as well. So one that I really, really liked, obviously the theme of the episode, the sort of the title of the episode even, really sets the stage for things. You know, pride and vengeance, often emotions that are linked together. Obviously Maul, extremely driven by his vengeance. It's his motivation. It's his reason for getting up in the morning. And then we see several characters whose pride may lead them down a similar dark road. In Devin, in Lawson, and maybe even a couple others. It depends on how deep you want to dive into that psychology. But Lawson and Devin, probably the most prideful of the characters we've met thus far. And how will that pride drive them moving forward, and will it eventually lead them down to dark paths on the road to vengeance? Again, as they say, pride goeth before the fall. So, will both characters fall to the darkness? Will just one? Will none? I guess we have to wait and find out. That's what the show's going to be for. And again, like I said, a really strong episode of the show. I can't wait to talk to you guys about it and get into it. Really good stuff here. So let's go ahead and get our episode particulars out of the way. Let's give credit where credit is due. This is Star Wars Maul, Shadow Lord, Season 1, Chapter 4, Pride and Vengeance. Original air date, April 13th, 2026. Written by Amanda Rose Munoz, directed by Nate Villanueva. Our cast for this week: Sam Witwer, Avery Kid-Waddell, Chris Diamantopoulos, Christopher Swindle, David W. Collins, Dennis Haysbert, Gideon Adlin, Kiko Agina, Richard Ayoade, Stephen Stanton, Steve Blum, Vanessa Marshall, and Wagner Mora. Everyone, I think, is doing a great job on the show. As I have mentioned in the past, I think, well, I'm going to, hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get to the plot for this episode. A confrontation between Lawson and Maul threatens everyone. And if that isn't hitting the nail on the head. As I was going to say, I continue to be completely enthralled by the animation style, the tone of the show, the visuals, the action. The lightsaber fighting has been fantastic thus far. But one of the elements I haven't given enough credit to, and I really want to make sure that I have this right there on Front Street, but the music has been spectacular. Every episode, it's hitting on all the right notes. It's paying tribute to Star Wars that's come before it, and it's doing new stuff as well, but sort of based off those classic elements. So they're hitting it out of the park on every level. I think this show has been a spectacular piece of Star Wars animation, and I really am just enjoying the holy heck out of it. All right, so that being said, I think it's time. Let's get into our episode. You know what that means. It is time. Strap on your buckets. Let's go.
Get out of here. We'll hold them off.
You're going to have to relocate the covert.
This is the way.
This is the way.
All right, we open up with Vario en route to Obadiah to meet with Krim. He's armed and extremely nervous at the same time. And it's I like this opening sequence a lot. It's a lot of fun, and I really like Vario trying to warn the Pikes about Maul. But clearly, it's part of the plan, right? Is it? It's part of the plan. He warns the Pikes, and then Maul springs into action and starts just cutting through the Pikes. But Vario gets the drop on Maul and stuns him. At least that's what it appears, right? Like Vario's betrayed Maul yet again. Or has he? Because as they drag the unconscious Maul before Krim, we find out it's not Maul at all. It's either Scorn or Icarus. I'm not positive which one. I'm not really good at knowing which one's which yet. We will get there with those friends. We just haven't seen them. I just don't think they've had enough screen time for me to distinguish between the two. But they are very identical looking. But yes, very clearly not Maul. So then the real Maul springs into action. And Maul's entrance here with the Pikes is pretty awesome. Because when we think it's Maul being taken before Krim, they present Krim with Maul's lightsaber. So he's holding the lightsaber in his hand. And as real Maul enters, he activates his own lightsaber and has it very quickly cut Krim in half. It's a pretty great sequence right there. And again, that's when Maul goes to town, and eventually the Pikes will surrender. And we get a very valuable piece of information from this confrontation here, where we learn that after Order 66, Maul came to Krim on Obadiah, only to have Krim try and kill him. So in a moment, as sort of Maul states, in a moment of weakness, he came here to the Pikes for help, and Krim tried to kill him. So this piece of vengeance is a lot more personal to Maul than maybe it was with Demas and Vario. Vario and Demas, they just betrayed him. It was out of greed. They abandoned him at Mandalore when he needed their help. But Maul, in a moment of weakness, came to Krim for help, and Krim tried to kill him. So I think Maul takes that a lot more personally than simply Vario and Demas, who are just being greedy and selfish beings. So I thought that was a really interesting little tidbit that we get from Maul. And again, Maul keeps his cards pretty close to the vest most of the time. So for him to drop this was pretty interesting. It's at this point that Maul installs the leader of the guard, this guy named Colt, as the new leader of the Pike Syndicate. But Maul is very explicit when he says, "You answer to me." All right, we go back to Janix, and we have Devin running through the streets and eventually reuniting with Master Iko Diodaki. We find out that they had their a lot of their Jedi stuff stashed, and Daki is getting things. So getting getting their lightsabers basically, and so he's able to present Devin with her lightsaber, and she really wants to pursue Maul. She's kind of on the path here, and Daki is reluctant, knowing their status as fugitives, at drawing all this attention to themselves. So they consider using Lawson, a character that both have interacted with and can tell that he has good intentions at the very, very least. Back at police headquarters, Lawson receives a tip from Uncle Daki, who he was acquainted with last week. And Two Boots goes to report to the Empire, as he believes that the police are ill-equipped to deal with Maul. And again, this was sort of foreshadowed last week. Two Boots has been pressing this issue of bringing in the Empire for quite some time. Not just because it seems to be the proper protocol, but I think Two Boots also understands that they are not equipped and ill-prepared to deal with someone like Maul. So to Two Boots, this is just the next logical step in ensuring peace on Janix, right? He doesn't quite have the understanding of what the Empire is at this point. As he illustrated last week, he just substitutes the Empire for the Republic. And I suppose that makes a certain amount of sense. But Lawson is the one, and Chief Kleiss has also been very reluctant to have the Empire on Janix because they know once they're here, they will never, ever leave. That doesn't really process for Two Boots. So he just does what he thinks he should be doing, which is call the Empire. Well, Lawson doesn't like that. And as much as we advocate for the droid rights here, Lawson does the thing that, I really don't like them doing, which is he powers down Two Boots. He flips the switch and shuts him down before the call can be made. Droids are life forms until they're not, right? Until they're just appliances. And then you can just plug them in and plug them out. But not as cool, in my opinion. All right, let's see. What do we have next on this? We have the police. Again, from Docky's tip, the police descend on Maul's headquarters. Spybot has been waiting and watching, and he's ready. And Vario is the first person they see. It looks abandoned, right? All the lights are out, and only Vario's there, and he has a little hologram projector with a message from Maul. And Maul wants to make a deal as the Night Brothers and the Mandalorians surround the police and make their presence known. Maul offers Lawson protection and peace on Janix, as long as he can operate unimpeded. Lawson declines this offer. We also have Devin and Jackie moving in as the shootout amongst the police, the Mandos, and the Night Brothers begins. Iko Diodaki and Devin venture off to track down Maul, and they offer him a deal as well. And again, a fun back and forth between Daki and Maul on the ideology of the Jedi and their role in the galaxy nowadays as sort of scrum rats living in the sewers and not being really very, very, very welcome there. But we get the classic, right? Jedi, master and apprentice, 2 lightsabers versus 1. The Jedi love teaming up in higher numbers, right? Something that's always made me laugh with the Jedi, right? There's 2 versus 1. It seems unfair. It really does. But we get a cool lightsaber duel going on while the police shootout is happening. Lawson's attempting to pursue Maul. We got Daki versus Maul. Daki gets a shot in on one of Maul's legs, damaging a servo, I would suspect, because that kind of angered Maul a little bit. But Maul gets a really good shot in on Daki, too, and is about to deliver the killing blow before Devin can slide in and save the day. Eventually, police reinforcements are en route, and Maul and his forces are going to escape. Lawson and Daki and Devin meet up, but he lets them get out of there before the police and reinforcements arrive. It's a great action sequence. There's a lot going on. I know I'm sort of glazing past it, but I mean, it's just, again, great action. The lightsaber duel is a lot of fun, and of course, I love Maul versus Daki with their ideological differences and getting into all that. So, a lot of fun things happening in there. We see Two Boots with the reinforcements. He's been turned back on, and Lawson asks for forgiveness from Two Boots, and is granted, but Two Boots is about to ask for forgiveness too, because what we get next is a great sequence of sort of a quick cuts back and forth to different things, different characters, as change is in the air, quite literally, because the Empire is pulling in, and as Lawson and Kleiss and other characters have feared, they probably aren't pulling out anytime soon. They are there to stay. So the Empire's come to Janix, and we close on the opening act of Maul, Shadow Lord. And we're ready for Act 2 now. The Empire's here, and things are about to change on Janix forever. And as we've seen in the trailer, I mean, the Empire is going to get in Maul's way. and I think to an extent, Maul maybe is up for that fight because, again, he knows he wants to fight the Empire at some point. Is he ready now? Probably not. But I want to see, we all have to see how this is all going to shake out. We know the Inquisitors are going to get involved. I can't wait to see what that entails. And a lot of good stuff to look forward to as we get into the second act of Season 1 here of Maul Shadow Lord. So, yeah, I think we hit all the high spots. A great episode. I really enjoyed this one a lot. I think it closes out the opening arc of the story really, really nicely with the Empire pulling in. Great shot of the Star Destroyer coming over the main city, the capital city of Janix. We know it's all going to change. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Will Lawson play nice with the Empire? Will he sort of be going rogue and doing his own thing? Will he and Two Boots be able to get along? And then how will Daki and Devin be able to navigate around Janix with the Empire in hot pursuit of them as well? I would imagine it was only a matter of time before they come to the Empire's attention. And perhaps the Inquisitors aren't involved right away. But again, we know from the trailers that they are eventually coming to Janix as well. So I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm really excited. The show's been hitting all the buttons that I wanted to hit. And I think we're getting some really quality Star Wars animation television right now. So I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. 9 buckets on this one. I love it, love it, love it. Quality stuff. All right. And with that being said, we're going to close out the show because I got nothing left to say. The show's been spectacular. I'm looking forward to it. And hey, I'm looking forward to reading more of that Maul comic, but I don't think the next issue even comes out until May. So, no updates on the comic book just yet, but we'll keep you posted on that as I get to it, as it comes out. All right, Bucketheads, this is the MandoVision podcast, and I am your host, Nargai Tom. Thank you guys so much for being here. Buckethead Nation continues to be the best supporters out there in the podcast universe. Go out there, be kind, supportive, respectful, tolerant, understanding, and patient with the crazies. Remember, you can find us on the socials, Mando_Vision on X and Insta, MandoVision at Blue Sky, and of course, you can email me, MandoVisionTom@gmail.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share this show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. If possible or so inclined, sweet 5-star reviews. They help us out tremendously. All right. We'll be back to talk about the next 2 episodes of Maul next week. Remember, get ready. We should have an episode for you Monday and Tuesday next week to talk about these two episodes coming up. But remember, in the meantime, this podcast can only end one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
I find that answer vague and unconvincing.
Admiral, we have enemy ships in Sector 47.
It's a trap!